We don't say water, we say water.
That's
Like a bowl of
Vai
water.
Butchen Wawa. Let's talk a little bit about something that we both are interested in. This series called Kurulus Osman.
16-year-old guy,
Yeah.
Tariq bin Ziyad, has conquered, Spain, and we cannot even conquer the hearts of a woman.
From
That
the very
triggered
start,
me.
triggered
That
you, yeah.
triggered me. What are the cause? What are the effects of this massacre, of this genocide? Why?
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to our the podcast, The Professionals, season one to shesh. So this is basically season two and the first episode with our very esteemed guest Salehin Kadir. He's a son of a war-wounded freedom fighter. He's a news presenter of ATN News, BTV, and CSB News of USA. Bhai re bhai. My goodness me. And I feel like, very inferior in that case. He's also chairman and facilitator, ILTS 360 Limited in Mirpur, right? All right. And he's a very big fan of, I'll come to that later. Salin, do you want to give something more introduction about yourself?
Well, nothing special. It's just that I'm the son of freedom fighter. He's a war wounded. My father, he actually fought for this nation way back in 1971. And his contribution is something that is not even neglected by the government because every year he has been given lots of awards for his contributions. That's my father. His name is G.K. Babu, and he's the Mahasachib of Jatiyo Shomelito Muktijuddha Foundation, and he has like 35,000 freedom fighters under his belt
Oh,
as a
wow.
member of his organization. And I'm just a minuscule. I'm just kind of like, a news presenter. And I taught in many different schools and institutions, Mastermind, as you know, Oxford International School, and other private schools like ECMIS. So, and currently I'm teaching in one private school. Apart from that, I teach IELTS and sometimes accounting. And besides that, I'm also a news presenter. I cast news in 18 News, the English Bulletin, uh, every Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Most of you are welcome to watch my news. And before that, I was in BTV. It's a government-based Bangladesh television. And but before that, I was also a newscaster in my TV, the Tohid Afridi's channel. So yeah.
Voila. So big introduction, isn't it? Um, so we have actually got a lot to talk about because
Sure.
we have a lot to catch up as well. In terms of your background, though, what made you be a news presenter? Because I knew you from a long time back, isn't it? More than 20 years,
Since
or around
2000,
20 years,
2005.
2005, so 19 years. So news presenter, why?
Well, my presentation skills have attracted many people, and I
All
didn't
right.
even know that I will be on the television.
I guess that's why guest already boosted. Boosted.
Perhaps, people are kind of like fond of my accent, the way how I talk. It's
Mm.
not Scottish, it's not Irish, it's British. Yeah, it's like the way how we talk with the received pronunciation.
All
It's
right.
like if you want to have a glass of water, please. We don't say water, we say water.
That's
It's like a bowl of
Vai
water.
Butchen Wawa. um, so you were born in Bahrain.
Yeah, I was born there, lived there for like 20, 25 years.
Yeah,
So
and you're residing in obviously Bangladesh, and
it was a
but
British
your
colony.
heart
My heart.
pursues that
Oh yeah,
Turkey.
Turkey. Yeah,
So I'm going to talk about it a little bit later, but that is a
sure.
very interesting topic. Um, any key achievements or moments in your career that you can highlight?
Career as a teacher or as a news presenter? Which one?
Presenter,
As
I
a
would
news
say.
presenter, well, I've been recognized everywhere, even in diplomatic zones. Even corporate offices, they know me. They have seen me a couple of times. I'm getting tons of invitations,
Hmm.
even from an embassies. Many different cultural events taking place in Gulshan, Baridhara, the tri-state,
Yeah, yeah.
So, and apart from that, also being uh, I'm like getting all these frequent calls from many people, especially those who want me to present their what do you call this, their cultural programs or anything of that sort. So they got to know me through television. They got
Right.
to see the way how I cast my news in a proper and professional manner. So
I see. Any controversies that you faced?
such as
Such as, you have presented a news and you faced an ethical dilemma or something about it.
not much. It's just a challenge because it's a competitive market. You just
Right.
have to show your best. When you just try costing news, you have to make sure that the lines you read people, the audience, particularly who listens to you,
Mhm.
you have to make sure the message is clear to them so that they can understand what you're trying to say.
Right.
Because if you try to read so fast or
Mhm.
too slow, people
Mhm.
will not understand at all. No controversies so far, no such challenges that I faced because despite the fact that this is a competitive market,
Yeah.
but I rather had to overcome many obstacles to
Mhm.
become a news presenter.
Mhm. In terms of a little bit controversial topic, not too much, I would say. Genocide. Is media covering enough for that? What do you think?
Well, there are certain medias, mainstream medias abroad. You see, they're not actually focusing much about. They're not actually focused about how many children, women are being repressed, and how many of them are being killed. But you see, they're mainly focused on Ukraine. They're being biased. They're being double standard. As my media colleagues, such as Mehdi, and from United States, and he was the news podcast presenter in NBNC channel.
Right, right.
So and Bassam Youssef, they have been covering this aspect,
Hmm.
but unfortunately, they're not getting enough coverage.
Right.
Um, in case of Bangladeshi media, you can see 18 News, many other news channels. They have been vocal about what is actually happening in and how many. Even myself, even I had to cast news about how many innocents have been killed in.
Um, so all the details আমরা না যাই, but the fact is, when people are suffering, that is bad, especially in this century. অনেক war কিন্তু actually হচ্ছে, something which we are not much focused on. For example, Sudan issues,
Yeah,
or issues
Darfur,
in Yemen,
right?
right? So it's not really fully covered as well. So আমি বলবো any holocaust situation or any genocide, it's horrible, and we
It
can't do
is.
nothing much about it. Only thing we can be vocal, but not we can't be too much vocal as well.
Well, this is happening since 1948, ever since this Balfour Declaration and Sykes-Picot Agreement have come into full effect.
Mm.
After the dismantling of the Ottoman Empire, it's like Osmania Khilafah.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
fact is that, once that got dismantled, they have lost control of many different territories, such as
yeah.
Palestine and Al-Hijaz. Even the place I was born in, Bahrain, it was also under Ottoman territory.
Hmm.
So what really happened was like the losing of all these this territory, and eventually what happened was the client state was being formed, and it was directly being manhandled by the British forces. And now the Americans have taken over. You have lots of bases all around the Middle
So
East.
don't you agree that it all started from the Balfour Declaration?
Of course, no, way before Balfour Declaration, because
Okay.
Theodore, this guy, he was a European Zionist.
Hmm.
He actually had this formula to establish the so-called Promised Land,
Hmm.
and this is something which has been effective quite before the dismantling of Ottoman Empire. So they've been planning 100 years before the execution of this so-called Promised Land.
Promised Land. Yeah.
So this is what has happened. I'm sure you know of Theodore Herzl.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, yeah. I think let's talk a little bit about something that we both are interested in. This series called Kurulus Osman, and we both have met, and thanks to you as well, Borak.
Yeah, Barack Obijit. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The series is amazing, isn't it?
pretty much.
Pretty much. I think everyone should watch it. It's
Well,
must.
it's actually a sequel of Dilir
Of the
Sirturu.
release yeah.
So they should start watching from Dilir Sirturu to know, to understand, to contemplate, to reflect upon what is actually happening in Kurulus Osman.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you see the character like Bamsi Bey appears out of nowhere.
Yeah, they're
you
not
know,
gonna understand
They
that.
don't understand
Yeah,
who
yeah.
Bamsi Bey is, and all of a sudden he
I
dies.
think this generation must. Actually, I would say it's a must
Yeah.
to watch it. It's
It is.
fantastic, isn't it? So what motivated you to work or love the country Turkey?
Well, believe it or not,
Mhm.
it's like we belong to the generation millennial. All right.
Mm.
Now, if we compare ourselves to the generation Z, they're way too advanced. They know a lot more, considering the fact that they have access to internet.
Mm.
But in our generation, we didn't have access to internet.
Mm.
We had a thing called Internet Explorer,
Mm.
from which Safari, Mozilla, Firefox, they
And we
just
had slow
popped out.
internet as well.
We
We
had
couldn't
slow.
play the YouTube properly, guys. So we
Exactly.
clicked and we waited for the.
We used to play
Buffer.
Nintendo. We used to play Nintendo or Xbox
Yeah.
One, yeah.
Yeah.
So PS1 as well, but the
PS1.
fact or Sega Mega Drive.
Hmm.
So in those days, as a teenager, what actually happened was we were having this access to libraries filled with books, useful books about history, books about geography, books about political science, books about a lot of things. Even World War One, World War Two, something that we want to know, but we couldn't even access it from the internet. But we used to prefer all these lessons from the book. So Ottoman Empire, which lasted for 635 years to be precise, All these accounts have been recorded in many different books, and which I came across in the library. That was in 1993. I was in grade four. I was only in grade four. So I was like, and those days, what triggered me to read about Ottoman Empire or the glory is because of the fact that genocide in Bosnia was rampant since 1991. So
Yes.
as a child, I was pretty much concerned, why is this happening? The white Muslims are being massacred. The white Muslims in Bosnia, Herzegovina, they're being massacred for no apparent reason. What happened? I mean, what is the
So that
cause?
interests you from the
That
very
triggered
start.
me.
Triggered you,
That
yeah.
triggered me. What are the cause? What are the effects of this massacre, of this genocide? Why is it that United Nations, or why is it that those mainstream media is not even talking about it? So it all started from Ottoman Empire when Bosnia was a part. Bosnia, Macedonia, Bulgaria, Hungary, these all European lands were part of Ottoman Empire. So I'm like, what is Ottoman Empire? What is the meaning of the word Ottoman? It's a Greek word, but it's Arab. In Arabic, we say Osmania. Osmania. It's not actually an empire. It's a khilafah. All right, it's a khilafah Islamic state that has been dismantled. So I was curious about the 600 years of history, but I was like, what happened before that? So the Advent led to me to know about our Prophet Sallallahu, to know about his seerah. So it all started from Prophet Muhammad,
Of course,
Abbasid Khilafah, the Umayyad Khilafah, the Khilafah of
and these
Cordoba.
histories are interesting.
It's pretty
Although we
even the Spain was like under Muslim influence for like 700 years. And a guy like Tariq bin Ziyad, he was only 16 years old. He conquered the whole of Spain. And what are we doing? We can't even win
this
the
guy know history too much.
16-year-old guy.
Yeah.
Tariq bin Ziyad has conquered, Spain, and we cannot even conquer the hearts of a woman.
Well said. Well said.
Gibraltar, Jabal al
I think
Tariq.
a part most of the people can't do it properly anyway.
Well, he came up with this motto, do or die. So when we come with a woman, we think about our purse, about what's going to happen, the consequence,
They
can
will
we
kill
pay
you.
the
My
bills?
audience will kill you, man. Okay. On another note, have you been to Turkey
Well,
or
no.
Turkey?
Turkey.
Yeah.
Well, no.
No. Okay. I think we should visit that
Well,
place.
we
Definitely,
definitely.
the country is
Definitely.
amazing. I can, I've seen the YouTube channels and all the vloggers and stuff. Um. So, in terms of um, you visiting different countries, are you interested in visiting all the Middle East countries or European countries? Any specific areas you want to see
I've been
to
to
explore that history that you have already studied?
I have been to many different GCC countries like Kuwait, Qatar, the place I was
Oman?
born, Oman.
Qatar is beautiful, isn't
Qatar
it?
is beautiful. Like in my days, it was not beautiful. It
Oh,
was
it
like
was
a
all
desert.
empty lands.
It was all desert.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
Qatar today is a lot different than the Qatar in
Oh,
1990s.
huge.
Even Bahrain, the place I was born in, it's
What
a lot
about
different.
UAE?
UAE is a lot better. It was like it's a hub actually.
Yeah,
I mean, like
yeah.
Bahrain is considered as a second UAE, considering the fact that it has lots of hotels, lots of tall, high-rising buildings. It's a sign of Qiyamah, as you know.
But as
So
per the knowledge that I believe that I've got is UAE can be a good hub for future education as well for
it
our
is.
students.
It already is
Yeah.
actually, as you can
But
see in
আমাদের
lots of.
এখনো মানে the young kids they're not into UAE yet. They're still into Canada, Australia, or the
Yeah,
mainstream
it's like
places.
the inferiority complex.
Yeah.
It's like I want to go to UK because they speak English, or I want to go to America because I can speak like American. It's
Yeah.
like they would just have this inferiority complex, which actually binds them to believe that they are
That
the most
Australia, UK,
advanced
yeah,
nation, but they don't understand the fact that the physics. Like for instance, let's talk about optics. Who invented optics?
Guys, I don't know anything about physics.
Ibn
But you go.
Haytham. Ibn Haytham.
Yeah.
He, today, like you find lots of women, they're taking all these DSLR pictures and uploading on Facebook. But who invented DSLR? It's none
And
other than
women
Ibn
would
Haytham.
like objectify করে, but it's men as well. Not me, but yeah, men as
They
well.
talk about mathematics, algebra. It's algebra. Is it algorithm, right? So logarithms. These are all Arabic words. All right. So from there, people, kind of like hijacked all the necessary
Ideas,
materials,
materials.
and they have replaced the Arab names with their, like for instance, Ibn Sina is being addressed as Avicenna in European countries. Rumi. So he's one of the greatest philosopher, astrologists, and as a matter of fact, that he knows a lot about the calendars. This is something which they had tried to portray as someone European who did that. I mean, Europe was in the Dark Age when we were like leading the whole Europe, like Spain, considering the fact that Spain was like having the times when the civilization of cleaning yourself, using a toilet tissue paper. We brought it in Europe. They didn't even know how to clean their own.
Oh, ouch. I think the push sound needs to be introduced more, man. All
pretty
right.
much.
What suggestion you can give to our young generation in terms of learning history and what they should actually learn?
Generation Z, as you can see,
Yeah.
those who were born like in 90s or late 90s,
Mm.
they're way smarter. Like they're the nation builders of tomorrow. If you just go to Harvard University, Princeton, or MIT or Philadelphia universities, I mean, like you can see that all these people are protesting against oppression. They're pretty much well educated. They're pretty much aware of the fact that this country, I mean, this particular world that we live in, we cannot be here only to burn bridges. We're here to build bridges. We have to build bridges with love, compassion, mercy, and also to ensure that we can uphold ethics, the integrity, the ethos. This is something that we all, as a human, lack because we are pretty much into materialism. So the Generation Z has set up an role model. They have been a role model for many different for many years. They do understand that this materialistic objectives or materialistic goals cannot give them peace. So even if I tell them, even if I tell them that, like, you should be a good man, good human, try to respect your mom and dad, try to be loyal towards your wife if you want to marry. We don't have to tell them anything, considering the fact they already know it. They know a lot better than us. So what we can do is, like, we can encourage them, we can motivate them to carry on with all the values that you have, so that you can perhaps become the role model of your future generations.
Exactly. I think the fact is the information is always available, so they're kind of like too many information. Let's just not
They
focus
love
on it.
accessing on online. It's
Mm.
like gone are those days when we see lots of youths pretty much into. All right, the just bores them.
Ouch, guys.
They're not. They're
এই
no.
পার্টটা
They're no longer interested in all these. They're pretty much interested about what can make them a better human. I mean, you cannot learn how to become a good man by watching. It doesn't make any sense. If you know what I'm saying.
All right. Um, Nonetheless, another factor which I believe is quite important at this stage is we need to know. And if we know, because my belief is boycott is very important. Okay?
Yes, of course.
Boycotting is important. Although we Bengalis are kind of failing,
Or maybe we're lagging behind.
lagging behind. But I've seen news that some of the countries are literally boycott this brand. I'm not gonna
Mhm.
name the brands and stuff. Okay, but these brands, XYZ brands, and they have boycotted it, and it has given an impact.
Right.
Yes, it might have not stopped any war at all, but still it has an impact. So every boycott, even if it's a 0.00001% you are contributing, but still you can say that you are contributing. That is the main part. But we always argue that, oh man, you're using Facebook, but you're boycotting this product, this Coke or whatever you say. I don't believe in that crap.
Well, there is some sort of double standard, and it exists because when we use toothpaste, it's also being functioned or manufactured
Yeah,
by
yeah,
so we are not aware of it. Yes,
exactly.
we know that Facebook is actually a benchmark where we can perhaps utilize it for the interests of. So we are using their media to propagate about what is actually happening in.
So আমার কথা হচ্ছে যেটা তোমার অপশন আছে, for example, our Bangladesh economic state is a little bit
Fragile.
clothing fragile now at this stage. So এই জায়গায় যদি if I boycott these foreign products or foreign franchisee products or XYZ and focus on our country's product, that will help our domestic employment more,
GDP
or
as
if
well.
not our GDP as well. Let us promote our product. Let us consume our thing instead of focusing and giving these people franchisee fees. For what reason?
No,
So
we
এতটুকু আমরা না করে we keep on arguing, this is right, this is wrong. Man, let's just take an action, ভাই।
from
কি হয় সমস্যাটা কি ভাই? একটা ড্রিঙ্ক যদি আমি না খাই এটার অল্টারনেটিভ নাই?
from the if you want to boycott, we can come up with this sort of strategy. We can come up with a Bangla cola and import it and import all the ingredients and try to just
Exactly. Let's
uh,
try to innovate something,
renovate
or at
something.
least তুমি দেখো ওই যে
They have this Palestinian cola. We can have a Bangla cola, perhaps. We can export it to many
হ্যাঁ,
different
তারপর
countries.
আমাদের তো লোকাল আছে, যেমন ফর এক্সাম্পল when I go somewhere, although অনেক সময় অ্যাকুয়াফিনা আমার বাধ্যতামূলক এক দুইটা কনজিউম করতে হয়, I am a culprit of that, but I always look for জীবন, I always look for mom. Okay, indirectly I'm promoting you guys, mom. But you see, এটা তো at least local, and I know I'm giving exactly 100% money to the local employer or
Yeah.
the local producer.
All right.
So why am I going to purchase something যেটার একটা certain percentage fees is going there?
Mhm.
There is no point to it, তাই না?
If you go to this tri-state, that is in Gulshan or Gulshan 1 or 2,
Mm-hmm.
or even in Banani, like hardly people of our age
Yeah.
drink Coca-Cola or Pepsi or other brand,
Yeah.
because they are pretty much well aware that
They
these
are.
things are something which may even cause problems in your kidney. And it may have a lot of problems, a lot of repercussions.
Hmm.
So they don't drink all these stuff. Even
Exactly. So আমার কথা হচ্ছে আর plus as I said, as long as there is a substitute in economics, we can just shift it. Still, there are a lot of people who keep on arguing about it. Just sometimes আমার কাছে মনে হয় যে মানে কি blind by the eyes or dumb in the head, and that reminds me of the ayat.
dumb, deaf, and blind, isn't
Yeah,
it?
exactly.
It was like
That's the fact. We can.
even when you use Facebook, it's
Yeah.
not like you're purchasing anything. You're rather paying for boosting
Yeah.
because you want to promote your business.
Yeah.
So, which is why it's pretty much imperative that
Yeah.
you try to propagate something which is useful.
Hmm.
But you rather don't buy anything that will actually cost you something which will be otherwise adverse.
Yeah. Exactly. That's a very healthy discussion, Salehin. I'm really glad that we can come up to always in a good ground and we think alike. That's a very positive thing. I'm a little bit few question away from this whole
Sure.
conflict that is going on. What do you think? Being a good presenter, you're a very good English presenter. Can you be a good English teacher for that?
Well, I have been teaching English since 2005, at the age of 19 or 20 when I joined Mastermind School.
Hmm.
And it was just for fun, it was like a passion, but it turned out to be a profession. And since then, I decided
Hmm.
that I should carry on with this subject. I got a CELTA
Hmm.
from University of Cambridge. And also I thought about not only becoming a teacher but also doing something like a motivational speaker, and which is why becoming a news presenter is no different.
Hmm.
So when people get to see me on television, whether it's on BTV or ATN or my TV or even in CSB, people do understand that Bangladesh has a quality,
Of course it does.
and
Of
it
course
is
it does.
not something that we can prefer watching CNN or BBC because we have something. There are lots of people even far better than myself, being a news presenter, and they're doing excellent job. So
Mm.
I don't consider myself as the best or one of the best, but I'm also here to learn. And the more I learn, the more humble I become.
And something that I've also noticed that Bangladesh is having good partnership with a lot of countries. For example, Turkey.
Yes,
Okay,
a
singer.
ballad relationship
Yeah,
is going
they're
stronger.
doing a good relationship as well. The Beko.
Oh yeah,
Huh?
the Singer Beko is
Yeah,
actually a company
yeah,
which the owner is
mm.
Turkish, and they want to promote their goods, and
Great.
they would
So
just
that
want
is a
to.
very healthy partnership.
Yeah, it's a very healthy partnership, and I can see that most of the goods are good enough. I mean, like I purchased many of their goods, products
Mm.
like ACs or television or what do you call this? Anything. You just go to
Yeah,
their
yeah, they have a good
showroom and
product.
you'll find
Yeah,
out
of
attractive
course.
products, and they brought.
Any future projects that you're thinking of?
I do have something in mind, but I just request sponsorship because at the end of the day, money talks, as you know. Because if you want to bring anyone here,
Hmm.
then definitely you have to ensure that all the financial instruments or financial policies are abided by.
Yeah.
So let's say if I want to hire you and I want to bring you to Nigeria, so you just don't go there for free.
Mm.
Of course, you have to be paid,
Yeah.
and I have to get in touch with your manager to ensure that everything is all the policies are being
Of course.
abided by. So the moment you come here, I have to ensure that the security, all the teams are ready enough to protect you, to ensure that you don't face any problems. So all these things, keeping in mind, I do have something in mind, but I won't disclose it now
Of
because
course.
until I get the confirmation, then perhaps
They'll do
it
it.
would be wise not to discuss it now.
Great.
But I would like to if I get the confirmation.
I understand. Any last suggestion before we close this episode to our audience?
Yeah, sure. Any suggestions to the audience?
Yeah. In
What
terms of
suggestions?
gathering information or what to do or how to improve their skills or anything that you want to
Like
suggest.
if you want to be a news presenter, all you have to do is to read books, yeah, books of knowledge, and that will actually help you to develop your vocabulary so that you can get rid of this thing called jorota. All right, once you become fluent in English, then only you'll be able to read properly with the proper accent. So that's one suggestion that I would like to make if you want to be a news presenter. If you want to be a teacher in English, then I would suggest you to sit for a CELTA degree, and yeah, of course it'll be something that'll be awarded by the University of Cambridge. And if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, then you have to read lots of books. If you not like those celebrities, who actually became famous so fast, but a successful entrepreneur defines as someone who actually does not only value money but also value ethics, integrity, ethos. So these are the suggestions that I would like to make. And also apart from that, I would also encourage all of you to watch Ertuğrul, it's a Turkish TV show. Uh,
Agreed.
and Kuruluş Osman. This is our sequel. If you have the ability, if you have the capacity to watch Game of Thrones, then this is the Islamic version of Game of Thrones that will actually.
Well placed. Well placed.
It's something that is based not on fiction but on reality.
Reality,
This
yeah.
this is something that has actually
And there are
occurred.
a lot of learnings there as well, isn't it?
Exactly. Turkey today has become independent because of lots of sacrifices made by lots of leaders like Sultan Al Aslan, Sultan Malik Shah. We have Ertuğrul, then we have Osman Bey, Orhan Bey. So many beys. I mean, like these are like they belong to a Beylik society. So from there we have lots of leaders popping out, fighting for ethics, fighting for gold, fighting for the ummah, fighting for the unition of Muslims. So that because in those days we had Mongol oppression.
Such a great talk I had. In fact, I'll be honest with you, this is probably one of the best talk I had. I would say the best, because this is something I'm aligned with, the interest that I'm aligned with. To the audience, I would say I would like to invite you again. I never
Sure.
say this to any guest. I would like to invite you again. We can talk about something that we can, think about.
Something, anything productive.
Any
Sure.
productive or anything we can talk about. For now, let's close it because I think it's been a pretty long episode comparatively. So thank you so much,
And
Salehin,
one
for
last
being here.
advice. And
Yeah,
one
yeah, of
last
course, of
advice.
course.
Avoid watching. Thank you.
Censor that. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. See you next episode.
See you. Assalamu alaikum.